That's for sure. Can you demonstrate a little for newbies?
Okay, it's because we both joined as guests, so I'm recording it starting right now.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Now that it's being recorded, will you show that piece of paper, the thing again that had like all the instructions about how you set your different stuff up? Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, go away, sketch. All right. There it is, Aurora. And I did take a screenshot of that too, and like I say, I'll make a note to put that in the meeting talk as well. And the directions, these are just basic directions. It may, I may have to, move away from these at some point to get my thing done, but it's the main thing. All right, so I've got my little guy. He's a turtle. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some basic shapes to start his eyes. On my toolbar right here, we won't go into all the settings in Illustrator. We're just going to demonstrate. So there's my circle, and if you can't see the circle, it's probably under the rectangle. So just grab that ellipse tool, as they call it. And I'm going to go and just start doing basic shapes. So if I want to do a circle here, I can either draw a circle like this. Let's give it a stroke, and let's make it pink so we can really, really see what's going on. I can do it like that, or I can go right into the middle of that circle and hold Option and Shift, and it'll do a perfect circle right from the center point, right? And that's kind of how I want to do it. So this big circle right here, I want one for his the color of his eye. Same here. Option Shift, and this is all going to get cut off very shortly, and I'll show you how. These are the highlights on his eyes. There's another little highlight on that eye. And I'm going to go into the big area that's his eyelid, and I'm going to go right into the center and pull a big circle for his eyelid and another one over here. Now, if it doesn't fit, let's say I go too big, no problem. You can always adjust it just by pulling in those anchor points. And this is going to be in your very first class in illustration. So if you're in illustration on Thursday, you might get a taste of this as well. So currently, if I go Command Y, you're going to see what I have so far. Just a bunch of circles. And I'm going to stop there on the eyes and finish the eyes really quickly. So I'm going to grab all of these pieces just by drawing an invisible line over them. And I'm going to go into my toolbar and pick up the Shape Builder tool. This thing is amazing. So clicking on the Shape Builder, I think the shortcut is M. Or Shift M, I don't. But if you notice, as I roll over, I'm not clicking on anything, but as I roll over these pieces, zoom in a tad, you can see they're kind of graying out. And that's telling me that I have the power to change these objects into different shapes. If I want to join a shape, like let's say I want this highlight to be one shape, but now it's got a cut through it with this other, the pupil. All I have to do is with this little plus sign that you can see, right here, there's a plus sign. I can go in there and I can draw right through to make a solid circle. Same here, solid circle. Now I'm going to click in each of the other shapes to separate them into their own shapes. Just to let the shape builder know that I want shapes. Now this piece right here, I'm probably going to need to join these two little pieces right there. Just be real gentle with it. And there are my eyeballs. So if we look at it now, I'm still going to have to cut some of this out, but if you look at it now, they're all separate shapes. And they can each be colored independently. So it's pretty cool. Now we're going to move on. Got the eyes done, not lots of detail going on here. This is a simplified illustration, so we're just going to keep it real simple. Now, my favorite drawing tool is the pencil tool, but because I want nice clean lines, I'm going to use the pen tool. Pen tool, P for pen. So if I want to I'm just going to go around the basic shape with the lines. That's all I'm doing right now, just a basic shape. So I'm going to click, and then this is good practice too. I want to go ahead and either click on a path or beyond a path, so it cuts it, okay? So I'm going to click on the path. Spacebar moves. So I'm going to get right on that path. You can see it highlight the path. You want to definitely be on the path, and you'll see why in a little bit if my shapes don't separate. So I've got my pen tool activated. Spacebar again. You can use the spacebar even with your pen tool activated. And now I'm going to go down to the second little dot here and make a curve. Let go. Now, if I want to keep going, you can see what's happening. The pen tool's all freaked out. There's lots of different ways to do this, but my favorite way to do this is to go back to that original anchor, click it, and now I have control of the pen again. So I'm going to go up to this point and pull a little curve, just like that. Now I'm going to push return or escape to disconnect the pen tool because I'm done with that line. I'm going to continue going on around this little guy until I get all of the outside lines done. So P for pen, space bar. Make sure you're on that path or past the path, and I'll do a couple of past ones. So I want to just do a little smile here, and I can always adjust these after the fact. Just bear with me. I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to go down to his little chest area and pull that line. And then just keep going all the way to the back of his little body. Just like that. And I'm going to push return again to disconnect my pen because I don't want to use it right there. And I'm going to go up here. Going past the line. You don't have to, but it's recommended. Draw my little curve. This one's kind of freaking out too, so I'm going to click on that anchor point again and just pull that line up. I don't need to finish this line right here because my shape builder tool is going to take care of that issue. So I'm going to push return. So I've got that line now. Next, I'm going to go up here and I'm not going to get too fancy here. I'm just going to go back down here and just complete the shape. So now we've got that. I'm going to add a little tail with the pen tool, either on the path or across the path. Click and hold and drag. Click on the finished anchor point there and click and hold and drag. It's not perfect, but I can fix that. I'm going to get my direct selection tool, and if I just put this little anchor point here, I can move it wherever I want to. So I'm getting negative, negative, command negative goes zoom out, and we're going to cut all this up in just a minute so it doesn't look like chaos. Next thing I'm going to do is, I'm not doing the pen tool for these feet. It's too much work for me. So I'm going to use the pencil tool. So the pencil tool is underneath the brush. If you hold down the brush and go to the bottom, there's the pencil tool. N is a shortcut. The pencil tool also, if you double click on it, you can tell it how you want it to perform. I usually work right in the middle. And this, I'll demonstrate accurate versus smooth. So if I'm going to use an accurate pencil and draw a line, that's what I get, right? Now, if I want to draw a more smooth version of that line, oh, that didn't work. Great demonstration there. Anyway, let's you'll learn that in an illustration. I'm going to go right in the middle for my fidelity, because it smooths out my line, but it doesn't smooth it too much. So now I'm going to zoom in, Command plus space bar for the hand tool, and I'm going to cross over the body and just draw around his little feet. And I just have a stroke. You don't want to have a fill, and I'm going to show you why. If I do it with a fill and not a stroke, you're going to see it's going to cause you some complications. So I'm just going over the little foot. It's not the most perfect thing, but the fidelity is going to make it better for me. See how nice? Well, that didn't work. Hold on. What happened? So when you put a fill, it just fills the object, and we don't want that. We're just doing line work right now, so we just want lines. Pencil tool one more time. Same thing. We're going to go through the body. Whoa, that really messed up. Just wiggling them right around those little legs. Crossing over the path, as you can see, this is all going to be cleaned up in a minute. So now Command negative, negative. We're getting there, right? Command Y. This is what we've got so far. I need to add this little part to the shell, and I think that would be easy with the pencil tool. So I'm just going to just draw over that. Go around. Finish the shape. So now I've got that little piece there. What else do I need? Maybe a little line here. Pencil. Just to separate the neck. So I'm just drawing just some little lines, just like that. So that looks pretty good for getting ready to shape build. So this is where the fun begins. I'm going to select everything. And a shortcut for that is Command A. If you want to do that, everything is selected. As you can see, it's all moving. And I'm going to go zoom in just a little bit. I want to keep my sketch visible so I can see what I'm doing, because I know I'm going to have to separate some things here, join them. So shape builder tool. Now, the eyeball on the sketch is not here. It's just here. So what I want to do is I want to join this whole body, this, and this together. So I'm going to take my shape builder with the plus sign and just draw gently through, and it becomes one shape. This piece here, I think I want it also to join the body, so I'm going to go through there. Now I just messed up, but that's okay. I can add that later. Then he's got this little wing looking thing, or scale. This is a separate piece, as you can see, but it's not, the tail's not connecting. So, and the reason for that is there's a path going through it. So that's what the shape builder is going to do. It's going to let me draw right through there and get myself a beautiful, in fact, even that little bit right there. You'll see some mess, but I'm going to show you how to clean that up in a minute. There's his little tail. Command negative, negative, negative. Now, this is one piece. That's what I wanted. That's a piece. You can check it just by rolling over and seeing if they're separated with that little gray outline or shade. This, I want this, I'll probably make the foot one piece here, and I'll also make this part of that, and I'll also make that part of that. So now you can see, if we hide the sketch, this is what I've got. It's not the greatest yet. It's not going to happen perfectly the first time, so we're going to pull the sketch back. What I really want to do now is clean up these little bits right here, if you can see that. You can either select them with your pen, or I'm sorry, your selection tool, or you can highlight everything and go in with your shape builder tool and delete them as well. So I'm probably going to redraw that line. So I'm just getting rid of the mess, basically. I think there's a little piece there. I'm going to hide this chunk, Command 3, and get rid of that trash. Command Option 3 brings it back. There's a little piece there. There's a little piece there. I kind of like that for my line work, so I'll leave that there. Get rid of that little piece. Get rid of, this needs to be joined together. Okay, so this little piece of tail right here and this little hole, I'm going to go ahead and grab those pieces, shape builder tool, and join those little pieces. Oops, that's not going to work. Command Z. I got to figure out what's going on there. Something isn't crossing over. This is not crossing over, so I'm just going to pull that across the line. And I'm going to zoom back out. And now I'm going to try it again. If it won't work with the shape builder, that means you do not have a path crossing. So now when I go to join it, that worked perfectly. All right, so he's looking pretty good. He's missing a few details, so I'll pull the sketch layer back just so I can see it. This is my line layer, so I need it to be finished line. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in a couple more details that I got deleted earlier. And I'm just going to use my pencil tool to add that little smile. and the neck part one more time. It's not working very well. I think my table is just too bumpy. So there's a nice line. All right, not too bad. All of my things are shaped. Now, one of the issues I have with line art is look at that disgusting end. It's a big giant square end, right? We don't want that. There's some different options you can use to thin out your lines or make them a little bit more refined. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of my artwork. I'm going to zoom into one of those ends so you can see it closely. And there's options up here in a profile panel, which I probably won't use, but they are here. So if I wanted to really make those lines look a little bit more artistic, I could. But for this illustration, I'm just going to use my stroke panel, and I'm going to round the ends. And that just, I usually click on both of them. So now all my lines, they don't look jagged. They look like they were meant to be. And the only part I don't like is this little piece right here. So in order to cut that off, this is superb. Well, thank you. In order to cut this little piece off here, does anybody know what I might need to do? Just this little piece right here. There's several things I could do. In fact, the easiest one would probably be to get my direct selection tool and just pull. Option. Yep, you could do that too. You could also use the shape builder tool. I'm not an expert with a pen tool, so I just kind of wing it most of the time. But it's looking pretty good, right? So I'm going to go ahead and turn this into black because I want black lines. I'm going to make sure my stroke is selected and up front, not the fill. And I'm going to go and open my swatches panel, window swatches, and go to black. Yeah, you just erase. Yeah, I don't use the eraser tool for some reason, but that's a good idea. Let's do that. Let's try the eraser tool. I don't even know where it is. Oh, there it is. Hello. So with the eraser tool, like Philip said, you can erase things too. So there is my line layer. I've got my sketch layer, and I've got my line layer. Perfect. Now what we want to do is we're going to, don't use the eraser either. We're going to duplicate this line art. There's different ways to do that too. I'm old school. I'm going to drag it down to the create new layer line or icon. And now you can see I've got line art copy, and this is going to be changed to color. So I'm going to drag the color layer underneath the line art layer. So I'm going to hide the template or the sketch layer. So now I've got two versions. I've got the color layer and the line art. So there's basically duplicates. Let me group this real quick. Command G for group. So if you look at this, you can see I've got a copy of my line art underneath my line art layer, and I've called it color. I'm going to hide my line art layer and just work on my color layer now. I don't either, and it's that pro. All right, so now I'm going to color this little guy in. I like to, I don't just use the regular swatches. As you can see, I've got some different versions out here. I've got earth tones and all kinds of stuff. But if we open up our Windows swatches palette, you get these default swatches. There's tons of them. Grays, you know, brights, all that stuff. But I like to drop that menu down and let's think about turtle colors. Drop it down, go down toward the bottom, open swatch library. In this library, there are so many choices, it's insane. But I'm going to go with maybe some earth tones. There's also gradients, do metal, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. Earth tone, I'm thinking it's a turtle, maybe we'll go earth tone. So here it is, my earth tone palette. I'm just going to move this out of the way. I'm on my color layer because that's where I need to be. I don't need to be on my line art. I'm going to lock that just in case. I'm on my color layer. Hopefully everything is separated with the shape builder to where I can pull it apart or make different colors out of it. Like this this body is one color. You know, see where I'm going? It looked like, okay, so let's zoom in just a tad. And let's move our color. So let's do his eyeballs, I don't know, dark green. Nope, I didn't have my fill up to the front, but I could flip it right here. So that's kind of handy. Make sure my fill is up front so I'm getting the fill in the color. I can manually go into the swatches palette, or I can use my eyedropper tool to get that same green if I want. The pupil is going to be black, so I'm just going to highlight both with my shift key, and you can see that there. And I'm going to make that black, and that's in my regular color swatches. The highlight is going to be white, which I definitely want to fill in with white. Oh, you can see that right there. That's going to be an issue some of y'all will run into. I'm trying to get this circle here, but it won't let me because this shape is on top. So I'm going to hide this shape with Command 3, and now I can get to the circle that I want to get to. And I just want to make sure the fill is white and the stroke is black. Same with that one. In fact, I don't think that's separated properly, but it's working. And then Command Option 3 brings it all. I want this layer to be, let's give him some beautiful pale blue eyes. Same here, you can see the red line selecting, and that's what I want, that beautiful pale blue. And I can always add detail. Spacebar. His little body, let's go with maybe a little bit of a darker green. Oh no, I don't like that either. I'm going to double click on this green and maybe go just a little bit darker. And you can always change this. This is his little turtle shell here, so let's see if we can grab that. And maybe a dark brown for that. And his little tail, maybe a dark brown for that. And his little scale, maybe a dark brown for that. So this all has a stroke. Be right with you. Let's get rid of the stroke on this because it's automatically putting a stroke on it, which I don't want. So this would be the finished color layer. Where did the mouth go? It's right there. So that's why we have different layers. We've got a color layer and we've got a line art layer. So you can draw. Line art goes on top of your color layer. Does that answer your question? There you go. All right. So we've got our sketch. We've got our line art layer. And we've got our color layer. And without the line art layer, you don't see the detail. You could always add strokes to your color layer, but this is just a better way to do it. So next thing we need to do is we need to copy. Do I need to copy? Probably not, no. Let's take the color layer and duplicate it, just like we did earlier with the other layer. And let's move it to the top, and let's call it cut lines. These are the lines that will if you go to a local printer, they're going to require these kind of lines, or they'll put them in for you. But it's a good thing to know. I think it's something that you probably be in Mr. Forrester's class as well. So line art's locked, color layer, I'll go ahead and lock that. Sketch, I don't need that. The cut lines, to create the cut lines, what we have to do is we have to combine all of these shapes together. So we've got all these other layers, but we also have a copy. And hopefully this is going to work. I'm going to go and open my Pathfinder tool. And in my Pathfinder, or it disappeared, window, Pathfinder. There we go. Oh, here it is. There's different options. You can unite, you can minus front, you can divide, you can intersect, all kinds of things. But what we want to do is we want to unite. And to do that, it says you have to hold Option and click. So I'm going to hide the other layers real quick, and you're going to see what happened. They're all the same. Now, this isn't working for me like it did in the video. We need one basic shape. So while I've got this selected, because it's not working like it's supposed to, I'm going to go ahead and get my shape builder tool. Well, no, maybe I don't need to. Okay. Ignore that. So we've got this. We've combined the shapes with Option click to unite. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Object. We're going to go to Path, and we're going to offset the path. And what that's going to do is it's going to either push it out or pull it in. Let's offset path. As you can see, it's huge. Let me cancel that. Let's get a little bit better visual going on here. All right, so I've got my united shape. And let's pull back. Excuse me. All right. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this with a good visual? I think what I want to do is I want to pull the cut lines, just for demonstration. I want to pull the cut lines down, and I'm just going to hide that one. So the cut lines are down here. I'm just going to lock these other layers. Don't worry about this in the actual assignment, but I want you to see what's happening when I do offset paths. So I've currently got my red selected. Everything else is locked. I'm going to go to Object, Path, Offset Path, and it's defaulting to 0.1389 inches. We don't want that. We want a 0.25 points. So you got to type it in. So 0.25 points. Some printers require a larger one. Now let's make this not red. Why is this not working? Dang it. There's always got to be complications, right? Okay, there it is. So for some reason it made a duplicate, but some printers, like if you want your cut mark, if you've got a die cut, for instance, and you want to have the cutter on the printing machine cut around it very closely, this is how you will want to do it. But for our assignment, we probably don't want to do that. Let's go back just a tad. I've got my cut lines here. Let's give it just a stroke and get rid of that ugly red fill. Pink. Object, path, offset path. Let's go 10 pixels. PX. Try that. All right, that's pretty good. Now we also need to use our Pathfinder one more time to combine these objects. And let's make that stroke pink. So you now have a big white outline around your object. So you've got your little colored sticker, you've got the line art. Sorry, that was a little confusing, but if you watch the video in the meeting talk, it might be a little clearer on that. It's been a while since I've done this. So this got a big white outline around it. For the printer will literally cut this pink line, and that's what it needs. If you don't like all of that stuff in there, meaning this extra stuff, just go in there with your group selection tool, which you probably will need to do, and get rid of it. This is not Command Y. It's a mess, a big time mess. How to confuse students in 20 minutes. Command Y. We are not going to be using the die cut because it costs us a matter for the challenge. Yeah, cool. So it needs to be cleaned up. If you are using a die cut, what I would do is just I'd probably just grab this whole thing, get my shape builder tool, join it together. That's just, and it won't let me do it. What am I doing wrong, Miss Van Ern?
Do you have multiple layers happening?
Nope.
No?
I did exactly what it said. It said to use the Option key to clean it up and give it one line, but just give him.
I would go to Pathfinder and Unite.
That's what I did.
What?
Watch. I've got it all selected. Here is Unite.
Mm-hmm.
It's uniting it.
And then expand. And then expand.
Expand. There we go. Good job.
Also on the Pathfinder panel, there's an expand there too.
Sweet. That's what we need.
And even Ellen, even if this isn't being done with a die cut, if it's being cut on a Cricut, you still need this step. I don't know why I'm yelling.
Yeah, but if you're, if we're turning these in for the challenge, I want you to understand that I want to see a die cut on there. And whether we need it or not, it could be a circle, it could be a square, whatever. We don't know what we're ordering yet, so it might just be a 3x3 without the die cut. But understanding what the die cut does is kind of a cool process. So in the end, we have a 3x3 sticker of Bob the Turtle that we can have printed and sell. So whatever you decide. Now, any questions? And if you want to stick around, I'll show you how to use some freeform gradients. Thank you, Tisha. All right, Nicole.
So I started, I have a comment. I started a sticker collection, making a sticker collection inspired by the Golden Girls. And I can show you the first one I made if y'all want to see it.
Cool.
Well, it's just on my screen. It hasn't been printed. I'll share my screen real quick. Oh, sorry. I have. When I say collection, I mean I have one. Oh, the pressure's on to share your screen. This is interesting being on the other side of this. This is a quote from the Golden Girls, not just a weird thing.
Cool. Very cute.
So yeah, I've got that cut line around mine as well, and then I just added the drop shadow so you can tell that it's a sticker. Sweet. And I will Command Y for you, just like I would make my students do, to see those outlines. My text is still text, but that would be the outline version.
Sweet. Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, that applies for circles, or not circles necessarily. I think they probably have that all already. But this is a great idea for a sticker.
Yeah. So my idea was to take a bunch of Golden Girls quotes and make fun stickers out of them.
Sweet. All right, I'm going to jump in one more time and show Aurora that gradient, freeform gradient real quick, and then we'll be done. All right, so I've got my little guy. He's kind of playing here, but I want to jazz him up a little bit. So just zooming in. Blanche. So color copy. I don't have any lines on here just yet. Back here and do this one. So I need to be on the color layer. You have a question, Henry? Bleeping this out of the way. So I'm going to change this to a freeform gradients, and they're kind of interesting. I'm going to go ahead and grab some new swatches just to play with. Let's do, I don't know, kids stuff. So here's some pretty pinks and things like that, and I can customize my gradients to use these if I want to. Get my gradient tool, go ahead and click on an object first. Double click on my gradient tool in the toolbar, and it's going to pop up right here. And there's different choices. You have linear, radial, or freeform. Freeform is really cool. It's got different options, points or lines, and I usually use the points. So if you click inside your object, you can add color stops. And then if you double click on those color stops, you can literally change the colors of them. So let's say I want to make one really beautiful red, or, in my palette, all I have to do is double click on it. Let's go with double clicking on this one as well. And we'll make it yellow. And if I don't want one, I just drag it off and it goes away. Double click on it. And maybe we'll go green on that one too. We can move these around. That's what's so cool about it. So if you have highlights that you want to highlight, you can move it to where it looks like it's got some dimension. Yeah, very cool, right? You can also change the size just a little bit if you want to by pulling on this little black circle. You can change the size of your gradient, but it's a, you know, you got to play around with it to get what you want. Now, if I want to apply that same color to the second eye, it does kind of slow down your computer just a tad, just a heads up. Click on the second eye, get my eyedropper, and take a taste or an eyedropper of this first eye and see what happens. So that gave it the exact same everything. If I wanted to edit this, all I would have to do is go back into my gradient panel and edit gradient. And it's going to open up those little color circles again, so I can move things around or add, maybe I want to add a beautiful red or something, kind of whatever I want. But that's the gradient, freeform gradient tool. It's pretty cool. Now, after you're all finished with your coloring and your line art, you can always go and, let's see where my layers are. Window layers. There they are. If you want to add more detail to your image, you can always go to your line art and unlock it and add however much detail you want. I resized it earlier so it's not matching, but if you want to add the lines to the eyes or some little swirlies, things like that, you can do that with your pencil tool and all that good stuff. But that's about it. Goodbye, Mr. Turtle. And that was it. Hope that didn't take too long. Oh my God, a whole hour. My apologies. So that has been recorded. Ms. Fenner, and if you want to, once that gets rendered, if you want to put it in the Discord workshop talk, possibly, they can, Aurora can access it or anybody else can. Thank you, Ellen. You're very welcome.
I sure will. I'll save it and upload it.
Excellent. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Where did you tell me to upload it to? Which channel?
I think Work Talk.
Workshop Talk. Okay, will do.
Sweet. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you, William. I hope that was helpful.
Am I good to quit the recording now? Yes.
Absolutely. Yep.